room. Welcome, one and all. My name is Denny. I have the privilege to serve as your Lieutenant Governor, and I'm going to ask you from the bottom of my heart for your strongest forbearance today as I attempt to get through this without crying. Our purpose today is to unveil the maquette of the statue of Billy Frank Jr. Maquette is a term of art. What it means is essentially the replica of that which will go in the National Statuary Hall. It's approximately 4 feet high. The one that goes in National Statuary Hall and another one in this building will be bronze. This isn't. And it will be 9 feet tall. This isn't 100% of what that will be because there will be some wording added to it, such as Billy's name and the like. But this is a very close approximation of what you will see both in the nation's capital and here. And I will let it speak for itself. I want to welcome all the distinguished visitors here today, and all of you are distinguished. Governor Inslee and First Lady Trudy, the Frank family, notably Willie and Pagan, statewide elected officials, Supreme Court justices, many state legislators, many tribal leaders from throughout the state. Welcome, one and all. I also want to begin by expressing my gratitude for all of those that helped bring us to this point, many of whom I've already referred to. The legislators and the governor, the Frank family, support throughout Indian country, and the artist, Haiying Wu, from whom we will hear later. I also want to point out that this maquette will be on permanent display in the lobby of the office of Lieutenant Governor, along with several boards narrating the story of Billy Frank. I invite you all to go down there afterwards and see them because they're already mounted. I also will invite you to take a closer look at it when it is unveiled, but usual museum admonition, do not touch. Seriously, do not touch. There are parts of it that are a bit fragile, so we don't want any accidents. Today is a day in when my heart is filled with joy. It is but a chapter in the long journey of getting us to this point, and there are many chapters along the way. The introduction of the legislation, the passage through the House, the passage through the Senate, the signing by the governor, the hiring of the artist, and then the agreement upon the exact design, which you will be treated to in a matter of minutes. A legislator who shall go unnamed wandered through my office earlier today, unauthorized, and caught sight of it. And I thought her reaction, again, no names mentioned, Senator Kaiser, her reaction is pretty typical, which is clutching her chest. This makes me cry. I think it will you as well, but they will be tears of joy as we honor our friend, the great Billy Frank Jr. So let us truly begin today by having prayer by the Vice Chair of the Nisqually tribe, Antoinette Nisqually. Vice Chair, would you come forward, please, and lead us in invocation? Please rise.
Twagulapus ab ishit ask obalitza sali skaliachad it egwichatoti ishit yaftitsia yaftibak akbil ochachashak siaban the hartisas chelt altiswaf tufte chelt altadisha kwafat booth chafo altis lache Gwagwatlu hali yochal. Otislache. Gwagwatlu hatl akwitsahaz otislache. Gwagwatlu ibash akwitsahoy otislache. Grades chatwati hali yosli yo walach yo. Alashkin. It egwichatwati yo ilab atagwazalan. It egwichatwati tsaba yotikaya kasil yoftipos. It egwichat id ishel yaftitsia yaftibak akbiv atsil tabiv swaftuftil. Tech duf ishel tech duftsia Tech do book up with arty tap you swaft tuftel. Egg with pizza chen, egg with pizza chen. Oh, my sister. Thank you, everybody. Very, very touching moment, and it's hard to hold back the tears. Safe travels for everybody.
Now I'd like to call forward Hanford McLeod, the Tribal Canoe family, to share a drum song.
Or come to the mic. Twagalapusi Yabdi Ishid Yaisa Blusitsta to all Nisqually. It's so good to see everybody here, and they asked me to explain this. Oh, sorry, I'm Nisqually, 5th Council member. We will be singing the Tkoltma song. Tkoltma. So.
for the second time in days, it is my desire to introduce to you the state of
This is an honor to stand representing 8 million Washingtonians, proud of this moment to give the best of Washington to our nation's capital. And it is true. When this statute is in Statuary Hall in the U.S. Capitol, the U.S. Capitol will not only have the best of Washington, but it will have salmon right there. Billy Frank Jr. was, and will always be salmon, and he is now going to send that message to Washington, D.C. And I was so honored to be able to work with this tremendous leader as a young pup congressperson and governor. And he did many, many things for the state of Washington. Tops on my list is helping me get elected governor of the state of Washington, okay? That was a joke, by the way. He did do that. I want to reflect. Everyone knows the story of what he did, being arrested 50 times, standing up for these rights, creating treaty rights because of his courage. Treaty rights are not self-executing. They take people of courage to make sure that they are respected, and that is what he did. And after 50 arrests, joining the Marine Corps and putting his trust in American democracy. It is rare to have someone who's arrested 50 times who still is committed to the democratic traditions of this nation, and that's what he did. And his courage, to some degree, you can call it rebellion or standing up for rights. It's both. But what I took from him is a unique combination of human attributes. And here's what I mean. He had the courage to stand up against forces against him, which at the time was the entire government of the United States of America. That takes spine. It takes resilience. It takes a strength of character that not everyone has. But at the same time, I don't think I ever worked with someone who was more committed to bringing people together. He always said we go farther together. He always said we always stay at the table to try to work out our controversies. And it is that rare combination of strength to stand up against power and speak truth to power, while also finding the best in each other so that we can work together to solve our differences. This was a rare man in what he accomplished. And I'm so pleased that we are sending the best of Washington State now to Washington, D.C. And I want to comment on this statute. I got a sneak peek of a little Polaroid somebody snuck the other day to take a look at it. And Mr. Wu, I could not be more pleased with what you accomplished to capture Billy's character. And I'll tell you why I say that. If you go to Statuary Hall and you look at the statutes of a bunch of these folks, a lot of them, the artist wanted to make them look imposing, maybe regal, maybe a little just domineering is the wrong word. What this statute captured is Billy's side of friendliness and openness and willingness to listen to other people of different views and ultimately to bring us together. He is a unique leader. There are 100 statutes, but there's none that's more meaningful to America, to Washington State, than Billy Frank Jr. Congratulations to his state to send him there.
And now it's my privilege to introduce the prime sponsor of House Bill 1372, which is the bill that provided for the entry of Billy into the National Statuary Hall. Also the co-chair of the Billy Frank Statute Committee, and my good friend, State Representative Deborah Lekanoff.
Thank you, Governor, for those wonderful words. I've had the privilege of getting to know you when you were a congressman, and today you still move me with the words of courage yourself. Thank you. To the Lieutenant Governor, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for the leadership you've provided and for the entire state of Washington. To my friend Willie, I think you are one of the most important people that I've had the privilege of knowing besides your dad. You're a man of courage. You walk your own walk, you walk your own step, but I have to tell you, my friend, I love you so much from the bottom of my heart. My Tlingit name is Hikchasi. I come from Southeast Alaska. I am part Tlingit and part Aleut. One of the things that Billy taught me at a very young age was to remember who you are and where you come from. I was this young girl coming where the salmon run for free. I had no idea that there was a place where there's no salmon. I had no idea that there was a life without salmon. Billy taught me the word of courage, the word to stand up, the words to be brave. Nothing's ever forgotten if you have salmon in your heart. Nothing's ever forgotten if you know who you are and where you come from. Washington State is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and it thrives on the sustainability of salmon. And Billy never, ever let us forget that. Today, it's an honor to stand here before you. I think we too are sending the very best of Washington to Washington, D.C. There isn't anyone else more respectful, more kind, more loving, who gave you his heart, who wasn't afraid to say, God damn it, let's do it. It's an honor to serve in the state legislature. It's an honor to be here. I served all Washingtonians to make a difference, to make sure Native American voices were never forgotten. We're always heard, and we're always part of making that decision. And I wished one day that Billy would give me a hug and say, I'm proud of you. But I got Willie, and he gives me a hug all the time. So thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor.
And so now it is my privilege, I'm going to try and spot him, to introduce another dear friend. And he is also the co-chair of the Billy Frank Statute Committee. He is also a co-sponsor of the original legislation. But perhaps more importantly, he and his family have been friends, close friends, with the Frank family for a very long period of time. Ladies and gentlemen, State Representative J.T. Wilcox.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind introduction. I appreciate it so much. And I know if my dad was here, he would feel honored, not because he was here, but because Billy was willing to be his friend. We all know that Billy was great at building relationships. It was the special talent that he had, but he took it a little farther than most of us are able to do. And Willie, I just want to warn you about one thing, by the way. You're going to do something very generous. You are now not just going to have Billy, your dad, you're going to share him with all the rest of us, and pretty soon the whole country and the whole world is going to be gifted by you, Pagan, and the Nisqually tribe with that relationship. And I think you're going to lose something out of this. But if there's ever a man who could stand the pressure of being the son of one of the greatest men that we've ever seen, it's Willie, supported by Pagan. So I've got great confidence that you're going to do great with this, Willie. We've heard about Billy's struggle, and that's what people think about a lot of times. We know that he did something very unique, and along with his friends in tribes in that generation, he understood that what had been for 100 years an object of oppression, the treaties, could be their greatest strength. And Billy found his time. It might not have worked at any other time. If he would have lived 100 years before then, he might have had the fate of Leshai or Quiamuth. If he was active now, I'm not sure that he could have accomplished the same things that he could have, because there is one other quality that we forget about Billy, and that's that he knew when to shake hands. My dad's relationship with Billy Frank started with a high-pressure handshake in the middle of a scary meeting when people thought that they should be fighting. And it changed my dad's life. My best friend in the world has a picture that he was very, very proud of. Mark Domit has a picture of, or had a picture of he and Billy and David Trout all joining hands to talk about how important Fish and Forest was. And what Billy's statue in Washington, D.C. can teach our whole country is there's a time to shake hands. And there's almost no harder time in our country to shake hands than now. And one more time, Billy's going to Washington, D.C. at exactly the right time. Thank you.
I knew I couldn't get through it. Our next speaker I love like a son. He is the chair of the Nisqually tribe, and he is the son of Billy Frank Jr., Willie Frank III.
No pressure, I guess, right? So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Willie Frank III. My Indian name is Qualashkid. My grandfather is Willie Frank Sr. My grandmother is Angeline Tobin Frank, Squaxin Island. And I'm the son of Billy Frank Jr. and Susan Crystal. My mother, Sue Crystal, worked for two of our governors here in the great state of Washington. I am joined today by my beautiful wife, Pagan Frank, who is Northern Arapaho and Ogallala Sioux. And I'm honored to be chairman of the Nisqually tribe. And it's an honor today to have Nuji Kauts here, who's the last of our 6 renegades, and who's still more honorary than ever. Right now, and ready to get on the river to be able to exercise that treaty right. And I also want to acknowledge all of our other elders who are here today from Nisqually, as well as our tribal leaders and family, friends who are here. And I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Heck and Governor Inslee and all of our state leaders who made this happen. I'd like to thank Mr. Wu for your dedication on this statue. I had a chance to see the statue here before our 3 o'clock meeting today, and Denny and I were almost in tears here, talking about this and just the impact that this has on our state. And so we're excited to go to Washington, D.C. 2025. And it truly is a blessing to be here today. My dad, he's looking down on us and smiling, all of us. My father, he was arrested over 50 times in his life for exercising his treaty rights along the Nisqually River. The Nisqually tribe is a signer of the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854. And in Article 3 of the treaty, promised us the right to fish, hunt, and gather in all of our usual and accustomed grounds. In 1917, 2/3 of the Nisqually Reservation was condemned by Pierce County to make room for Joint Base Lewis McChord. My grandfather, Willie Frank Sr., was born in 1879 along Mutt Creek Village. And in 1919, after the reservation was condemned, my father purchased 6 acres of land near a wagon crossing that today is the I-5 bridge that goes over the Nisqually River. The Wahilut Indian School's there today, and that's known as Frank's Landing. That's where my father was first arrested at 14 years old. And in the 1960s, the state of Washington used the word conservation to keep our tribal fishermen off the water. And our fishermen were told they can only fish within the reservation boundaries. As Nisqually people and tribal people, we were taught that we have the right to fish and hunt in all of our usual and accustomed grounds. And we protect and we manage from the summit to the sea. We're coming up on 50 years since U.S. versus Washington. And I've heard many different comments about the 50-year anniversary. We're coming up on 10 years from the loss of my father, We have lost many of our tribal leaders over the last 10 years who are foundational pieces to who we are today, not just at Nisqually, but all of our tribes here in the state of Washington, as well as Indian country. Today is January 10th. We have the first Native American sitting as Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland. Today in Washington State, we have Representative Lekanoff. We have Senator Claudia Kaufman, Port Commissioner Maggie Sanders, and our Nisqually tribal member, Mr. Bob Ayel, who I always like to acknowledge, is sitting as a Port Commissioner right now. Thank you guys all for leading by example for the next generation. And I want to make sure I acknowledge Craig Bill, too. I see sitting there. Thank you, Craig, for the work that you do. My father would be the first one to say we still have plenty of work ahead. And where do we go for the next 50 years? I know I'll be 91 when we come up on Bolt 100. I really can't wait for that celebration for the next 50 years. Because I think at Nisqually, we have our language being spoken. You see it in the schools. The North Thurston School District has a flag hanging, a Nisqually flag hanging at every school in the district. And I think about that, 49 years ago, this gentleman here in the front row is still getting arrested. My dad and many other of our Nisqually people and Indian people throughout the state. And I'm looking forward to coming up on a 50-year celebration Muckleshoot Nation's hosting. And I can't wait for people to see this Bolt 50 video that was put together, the documentary. And I got to make sure I acknowledge another one of our former chairmen sitting there, Dorian Sanchez also, who was along the banks there getting beat up by the cops at a time when not a lot of people really wanted to be Indian. And to think today we're sitting in the governor's office, the governor's house. This is your house, Governor. Thank you guys for this opportunity. We're coming up on 50 years of U.S. versus Washington, but also of the Billy Frank Jr. Nisqually Wildlife Refuge, who our Lieutenant Governor here worked on in 2016. To assure that we could tell our story as Nisqually people. And I'm sorry it's taken a little bit long. Squaxin's here, Muckleshoot, Puyallup, we're all on board. We're going to come together and we're going to build a nice monument down there to be able to tell our story. And I guess it's going to have to line up with this statue now, sir. So thank you for giving us as tribes the opportunity to tell our story. And I look forward to working with everybody in the room here to get to Washington, D.C. And I told our governor here, I know this is his last year. I told him last night, I said, we got to get you to Washington, D.C. However we get you there in 2025. I know you'll be kind of semi-retired, but we got to get you there to celebrate this great honor. Thank you, guys.
Finally, before we do the unveiling, we're going to hear from the artists, but I want to say just quickly a word about this. I'm incredibly confident that when this is unveiled by Willie and Pagan and the artist, that you're all going to appreciate it as deeply as those of us who have been involved. The process for selecting an artist and getting to a final design, however, is not a straight and easy line. In fact, if any of you have ever been involved in a similar process, you know it's a very difficult journey with lots of ups and downs and 2 steps forwards and 1 step back. And I want to acknowledge at this point the considerable assistance and support that was lent to us by WA Arts in enabling and supporting this process so that we could get to this incredible point. So our artist's name is Haiying Wu. And those of you who may be familiar with another piece of his work in Seattle with the firefighters, which was globally award-winning, this was an incredible piece of work, and it was a great inspiration to me in our process of selecting him. So now to talk a little bit about his background, his process, and this work, please welcome Mr. Haiying Wu.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share some of insights into the creation of Billy Frank Memorial Statue. Over the past year, I have navigated the creative journey from initial graphic design to the current 4-feet tall maquette. This iterative process aimed not just for Walker-like portrait, but to capture Billy Frank's inner world. Through careful consideration, I have discovered a style that embodies Billy Frank's charming personality and unwavering spirit in a generalized art form. Over the next few months, I will begin the process to enlarge this 4-feet tall maquette into a 9-feet clay figure. With the addition of 2-feet tall granite base, the finished bronze statue will stand 11 feet tall in the National Statuary Hall. I'm glad we have gotten to this point. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Billy Frank Memorial Statue Committee for their strong support during this process, which enabled me to successfully complete the initial design. And also I would like to thank the state of Washington that gave me this honor to become the first Chinese American sculptor who has works enter the National Statuary Hall. Thank you very much.
Kind of filled with anticipation here. Chair Frank, Pagan, don't know where Pagan went. If you could come forward, and Haiying, the moment we've been waiting for. I think we should give you a 3, 2, 1 countdown. What do you think about that?
Well, you told us to be careful, though, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Don't put a lot of pressure
Mr.
on.
Wu,
So
right
over there, we'll give it to you. How about you all join me in this? Are you ready?
Hold on. We're going to go up and over, okay?
Wait for the countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony. Again, I invite you to come up and take a closer look. But again, this is kind of brittle. Don't touch anything, please. The maquette will be after the room is emptied, taken down again to the lobby of the Office of Lieutenant Governor for permanent display. Thank you to all, and that includes everyone in this room who helped make this day possible. Thank you so very, very much.